Let's take a look at the 2024 D&D level 2 spells. There are Aid, Barkskin, Fine Steed, Prayer of Healing, Shining Smite, which was formerly Glimmering Smite, and Spiritual Weapon. So we got 6 new spells here, or 6 changed spells at level 2. Let's take a look. The first is Aid. This one got a big nerf. It got an increase from 3 creatures to 6, so that's good, but it changed from increasing your current and your maximum hit points by 5 to giving you 5 temporary hit points, and that's much weaker in a number of ways. Aid was actually an area of effect healing spell at 2nd level, so that's pretty powerful from that regard. It could bring people back from being unconscious, whereas giving people temporary hit points doesn't do that. Got a lot worse in a number of ways. We'll see if they keep it. I hope they don't. The next spell we got is Barkskin. That was also from playtest number 3. I think this one overall got better. It is a bonus action to cast instead of an action to cast. It gives temporary hit points, which, depending on the party makeup, might not be good because some parties have a lot of ways to get temporary hit points. But it used to only give you an armor class of 16 no matter what armor you're wearing. And if you're wearing better armor, it did nothing for you. Now it gives you temporary hit points, resetting at the start of each of your turns. It can also be scaled up to higher levels. That's new. And it can affect more than one creature, adding another creature for every level it's scaled up. So Barkskin, I think, got a lot better there. Fine Steed is from playtest number 6. I think this one overall got better. It changed from casting time of 10 minutes to an action, so you can get your steed summoned immediately. It uses the otherworldly steed stat block rather than taking a regular pony or a warhorse or elk or mastiff and giving it intelligence. And with that stat block, it's got a number of special powers. Also, the stat block scales by the level of the casting of the spell. And depending on if you take a Fae or a Fiend or a Celestial, you get Face Step or Fell Glare or Healing Touch, all pretty cool powers. It's got an attack, Otherworldly Slam, which does different damage type depending on what creature you picked. And Life Bond. When you regain hit points from a spell at first level or higher, the steed regains the same number of hit points if you're within 5 feet of it. Overall, I think pretty good. Pretty good change on the Fine Steed spell. The next spell from playtest number 3 again is Prayer of Healing. So this one got changed like the reverse of Aid. Now it only affects a number of willing creatures equal to your spellcasting ability and modifier, so probably 3 or 4 by the time you can cast this spell, whereas it used to affect 6 creatures. The healing's 2d8 hit points. I wonder if that'll change now that Cure Wounds is doing more healing, and it adds a d8 for every level up. So I bet that does change, although it's affecting a number of creatures, unlike Cure Wounds. It also, this is new, grants you the benefits of a short rest, but because of that, you can only use it once per long rest. The next spell that we have is Shining Smite from playtest number 6. This one first appeared, and it was called Glimmering Smite. So as far as I know, there was no previous spell called Glimmering Smite or Shining Smite from any source, and this is new. Like other Paladin spells, it's a bonus action, triggers when you hit with a melee weapon or an unarmed strike. This one requires your concentration for up to a minute. The target takes 2d6 radiant, and if it's invisible, that condition ends on it, and attack rolls against it have advantage, and it can't benefit from the invisible condition should it be recast, for example. And if you cast it at higher levels, it does more damage. So this is really good against an invisible opponent. Real kind of a niche spell in that regard, but very powerful. So that's Shining Smite. And our last spell is Spiritual Weapon, back at playtest again, number 3. So Spiritual Weapon was a go-to spell for clerics because it did not require concentration, and it basically gave you another attack to do all during a battle. Now that it requires concentration, I don't know that it'd get cast very often, because it wasn't that powerful. It was cast all the time because it was basically a free extra attack. So we'll see if they change this at all. Increases damage faster than it did before. As once it used to be a d8 every 2 levels, and now it's a d8 every level. But I don't know. I think it's going to need some tweaking. If not, it's not going to see much use. So that is all of the spells in level 2 that we've seen so far in the playtest. Kind of a mixed bag. I'm not real keen on some of the changes that they've made here. There's some other level 2 spells, Heat Metal, Fine Traps, Pass Without Trace I'd like to see. I'd like to know what you'd like to see. Leave a comment below on that. And thanks for watching this video. Please come back for the next on level 3 spells.